Find your inner strength for unshakable confidence. I used to think confidence was something you were either born with or not. It felt like this exclusive club I wasn't invited to, a language I just couldn't speak. For years, that belief had me in a headlock, crippled by a quiet but constant self-doubt. It was that little voice whispering, "You're not good enough, not smart enough, not ready." It held me back at work, made every social event feel like I was navigating a minefield, and kept me chasing other people's approval, hoping that one day someone would finally give me the validation I was so desperate for. But they never did, because that's not how confidence works. The validation I was searching for wasn't something anyone else could give me. In this video, I'm going to share how I stopped looking for approval and instead used some ancient wisdom to find a strength inside me that changed absolutely everything. This isn't about puffing out your chest or faking it till you make it. This is about building something real, something solid, something unshakable from the inside out. Let's just be honest for a second. That feeling of self-doubt, it's paralyzing, right? It's the silent dream killer that convinces you your goals are just a little too far out of reach. For me, it showed up in 1,000 tiny ways. I'd be sitting in a meeting with a great idea, but the words would get stuck in my throat, strangled by the fear of what people might think. I'd replay conversations over and over in my head for hours, dissecting every word. Sure, I'd said the wrong thing. I'd see other people getting ahead, getting promotions, taking big risks, and I'd just feel this heavy, sinking feeling that I was somehow fundamentally flawed, that I was missing some crucial piece that everyone else seemed to have. And this isn't just a feeling, it actively holds people back. A 2020 public viewpoint survey from Strada Education Network revealed that self-doubt is a massive barrier to education. They found that nearly half of people, 49%, were afraid to pursue more education because they feared they wouldn't be successful or had been out of school too long. A barrier nearly on par with cost, 48%. That's the real power of our inner critic. It doesn't just make you feel bad, it sabotages your future. It creates this vicious cycle. You doubt yourself, so you don't act. You don't act, so you don't get results. And the lack of results becomes the proof that your doubts were right all along. It's a prison without walls, and I lived there for a very, very long time. Cognitive theories of depression and anxiety have long pointed to this pattern. Research shows that people struggling with these conditions often build their self-belief by focusing disproportionately on tasks where they felt they performed poorly, while ignoring their successes. Their perception of their own performance gets skewed by this negative filter. I was an expert at this. I could get 99 things right, but my mind would obsess over the one thing that went wrong. This wasn't just a bad habit, it was the architecture of my reality, and it was draining. I was constantly looking for external validation, a compliment from my boss, a like on social media, an invitation to a party, treating them like little scraps of confidence to get me through the day. But it was never enough. It was like trying to fill a bucket that had a huge hole in the bottom. The temporary fix would fade, and I'd be empty again, always needing another hit. The turning point, the discovery. My turning point wasn't some dramatic, lightning bolt moment. It was more like a slow, painful burnout. I was just so tired. Tired of trying to be perfect for everyone, of twisting myself into a version of me I thought other people would find more acceptable or praiseworthy. My rock bottom was this period of intense exhaustion, where the weight of my own expressions and what I imagined everyone else expected of me just became too heavy to carry anymore. I felt completely lost, and it was painfully obvious that my old strategies of people-pleasing and working harder to prove my worth weren't just failing, they were making everything worse. In that quiet desperation, I started looking for a different answer. If looking outside myself for confidence was a dead end, what if I tried looking inward? This question sent me down a rabbit hole of philosophy and psychology, and eventually I stumbled upon the ancient wisdom of Stoicism. Now, when you hear Stoic, you might picture someone totally emotionless and detached, like a statue. But that's a huge misconception. Stoicism isn't about getting rid of your emotions. It's about understanding them. It's a practical philosophy, a toolkit for life, practiced by everyone from emperors like Marcus Aurelius to former slaves like Epictetus. It's designed to make us more resilient, peaceful, and wise. And it offered this radical idea. Our inner peace and strength shouldn't depend on what happens around us, but on how we respond to it. The great Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That single idea hit me like a ton of bricks. For years, I had been trying to control the uncontrollable, what people thought of me, whether my projects would succeed, whether life would be easy. The Stoics were telling me to stop. They were offering a blueprint for building what they called an inner citadel, a fortress inside yourself that can withstand the chaos of the outside world. This was it. This was the turning point. The realization that true, lasting confidence wasn't something I had to find out there, but something I could build in here. The first pillar, the fortress of the mind, the dichotomy of control. The very foundation of this inner citadel, the first and most crucial pillar of real confidence, is a Stoic principle often called the dichotomy of control. It's a simple idea, but it can change your life. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. According to the Stoics, the things that are truly up to us are our internal faculties, our judgments, our intentions, our choices, and how we decide to act. That's our domain. Everything else, what other people think, the final outcome of our efforts, our reputation, even aspects of our health, the economy, the weather, is ultimately not entirely within our control. At first, that might sound a little limiting, but I promise you, it's the most liberating idea in the world. All my anxiety and self-doubt came from tying my self-worth to things I couldn't control. I was trying to guarantee that people would like me. I was trying to guarantee that my projects would succeed. I was trying to guarantee a life without any bumps in the road. And because you can never guarantee those things, I lived in a constant state of fear. Building the fortress of your mind means consciously shifting your focus away from the external and onto the internal. It's about declaring independence from the opinions of others and the tyranny of outcomes. A great way to start is with a daily practice, like a specific kind of journaling. Each morning, I started taking just a few minutes to think about the day ahead. I'd consider the challenges I might face, a tough conversation, a big project, a social event. Then, I would mentally separate what I could control from what I couldn't. Let's say I had a big presentation. Not up to me. Whether my boss loves it, whether the client accepts the proposal, whether the projector decides to die mid-sentence, or whether a colleague asks a really tough question. Up to me. How well I prepare, the effort I put into my slides, my intention to speak clearly and honestly, and how I choose to respond to questions, even the tough ones, my attitude through the whole thing. This simple act of separation is transformative. It moves you from being a victim of your circumstances to the agent of your own experience. The goal is no longer to get a perfect, guaranteed result. The goal is to act with your best judgment and effort in the areas you control. This is how you start to silence that inner critic. The critic loves to feed on uncertainty about external results. It whispers, "What if they laugh at you?" The Stoic-inspired response is, "Their reaction isn't up to me. My preparation and my effort are. I'll focus on that." This practice helps you build something that feels a lot like what modern psychology might call cognitive diffusion, the ability to see your thoughts as just thoughts, not as undeniable facts. When that voice of self-doubt pops up and says, "You're going to fail," you can pause, recognize it as just a thought about an outcome you don't control, and then gently redirect your focus to your actions, which you do control. You start to get your self-worth not from praise or success, but from the quiet knowledge that you're doing your best with what you have, right here and now. This is the first, essential step to building a foundation of inner strength. The second pillar, 9th, the forge of character, embracing adversity. Once you start building that fortress in your mind, you've got to test its walls. The second pillar of inner strength is a radical reframing of difficulty itself. It often feels like our modern culture tells us that a good life is a comfortable life, one without hardship. We tend to see challenges, setbacks, and failures as things to be avoided at all costs. But the Stoics saw it in a completely different light. They believed that adversity wasn't just an inevitable part of life, but a necessary one. Seneca, another great Stoic, wrote a line that has stuck with me ever since I first read it. "Difficulty strengthens the mind, as labor does the body." Think about that for a second. You don't build muscle by avoiding heavy things. You build it by lifting them. Your muscles literally grow stronger by being broken down and then repairing themselves. The Stoics argued that our character, our resilience, our inner strength, it all works the exact same way. Every obstacle, every failure, every painful experience is a chance to practice virtue and strengthen your mind. It is the forge where true character is hammered into shape. This mindset shift is profound. It turns every challenge from a threat into a training exercise. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "How can I use this?" This doesn't mean you go looking for trouble. It means that when trouble inevitably finds you, as it does for everyone, you see it as a chance to grow. A key Stoic practice here is what's called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of adversity. This isn't about being a pessimist, it's about being prepared. By calmly imagining potential obstacles or worst-case scenarios, you mentally rehearse how you'd handle them with courage and grace. It lowers the shock and emotional chaos if they actually happen, because you've already visited that territory in your mind and planned your response. I started applying this to my own life. I used to be terrified of failure, a rejection, a mistake, a criticism. It felt like a final verdict on my worth as a person. But by embracing this second pillar, I began to see those moments differently. I pitched a project at work that I had poured my soul into, and it got rejected. The old me would have been absolutely crushed. I would have spiraled into self-doubt, thinking, "See, I knew I wasn't good enough. My ideas are terrible." But armed with this new perspective, my inner dialogue changed. It still stung. Stoicism doesn't turn you into a robot, but instead of a verdict, I saw it as data. I asked myself, what can I learn here? Is there valid feedback I can use? How can I make the next pitch stronger? Did I act with integrity? Yes. Did I give it my best effort? Yes. Then, the outcome, while disappointing, didn't have to crush my sense of self. The rejection became a lesson in resilience. It was another rep in the gym for my character. This is what it means to build unshakable confidence. It's not the belief that you will never fail. It's the deep-seated trust that you can handle failure. It's knowing that you have the ability to endure, learn, and grow from whatever life throws at you. You stop being fragile and start becoming what the author Nassim Taleb calls anti-fragile, a powerful metaphor for not just resisting shocks, but actually getting stronger from them. The third pillar, the compass of the soul, values, Hn. So, building the fortress of your mind gives you a safe place to stand. Forging your character gives you the strength to withstand any storm. But this third and final pillar, it gives you direction. It is the compass of your soul, and it's built on two things: knowing your values and living by them. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it perfectly when he urged, in paraphrase, "First, tell yourself what sort of person you want to be. Then, act accordingly in all that you do." This is a call for deep self-knowledge and radical integrity. For years, my actions were guided by what I thought other people wanted from me. I was driven by a desperate need for their approval. The result? A deep sense of being a fraud, and a confidence so brittle it would shatter at the slightest hint of criticism. I was a ship without a rudder, just tossed around by the winds of other people's opinions. Building this third pillar starts with self-reflection, and this isn't a one-and-done thing. It's an ongoing conversation with yourself. Through journaling and quiet moments, I started asking myself the big questions. What really matters to me? What principles do I want to live by? What does it mean for me to be a good person, a good friend, a good colleague? I actually wrote them down. My core values, things like integrity, kindness, growth, and courage. This list became my compass. It gave me the ultimate standard for my own behavior, replacing the fickle standard of external validation. Marcus Aurelius wrote constantly in his journals about this very idea, reminding himself of the importance of living authentically. He understood that true peace comes from being who you are and living by your own principles, not from chasing some image. With my values defined, the next step was to live them out, moment by moment. Confidence is built on evidence, and the most powerful evidence in the world comes from keeping the promises you make to yourself. When you say you value honesty, and then you speak your truth even when it's hard, you build self-trust. When you say you value growth, and then you take on a challenge instead of hiding from it, you build self-respect. These small daily acts of alignment are like deposits in your confidence account. Each time your actions match your values, you prove to yourself that you are reliable, that you are someone you can count on. This is where unshakable confidence really comes from. It's not a feeling, it's a result. It's the result of living with integrity. When you are guided by your own internal compass, you're no longer shaken by external forces. Someone's criticism, while maybe useful as feedback, can no longer destroy you because their opinion isn't your North Star. Your values are. Failing at something is no longer a catastrophe because your self-worth isn't based on the outcome. It's based on whether you acted with courage and integrity in the attempt. You become your own source of stability. You know who you are, what you stand for, and you have a track record of acting on it. That is the compass of the soul, and when you follow it, you can navigate any sea. The transformation, the outcome. So, what does life look like on the other side? The transformation wasn't like flipping a switch. It was gradual. But one day, I just looked around and realized everything felt different. The constant, low-level anxiety that lived in my chest had been replaced by a quiet sense of calm. That frantic need for everyone to like me had faded into a simple desire to be a person that I like and respect. It's not that I'm fearless now. That was never the goal. I still feel fear. I still get nervous before a big meeting, but the fear no longer gets the final vote. It's just a signal now, a piece of information. That voice of self-doubt still whispers from time to time, but it's no longer a roar that drowns out everything else. It's a passing thought. I now have the tools to see it for what it is, thank it for its input, and turn my focus back to my actions. Before, I would avoid any situation where I might be judged. Now, I try to see those situations as opportunities to practice my values. I speak up in meetings, not because I'm 100% certain my idea is the best, but because I value courage and contribution. I can hear criticism without crumbling, because my self-worth is no longer on the line. I can celebrate other people's successes without that sharp pang of envy, because their journey isn't a commentary on my own. The biggest change is this: I've stopped looking outside myself for permission to feel confident. I have found an inner source of strength that doesn't depend on my job title, my bank account, or how many followers I have. It's a strength forged in self-reflection, tested by adversity, and guided by my own compass. It's the profound and peaceful knowledge that no matter what happens on the outside, my inner citadel is secure. That is the feeling of unshakable confidence. It's not loud, it's not arrogant, it's quiet, it's solid, and it's free. Conclusion. This journey from crippling self-doubt to real inner strength was built on these three ancient, powerful pillars: building the fortress of your mind by focusing on what you control, forging your character by embracing adversity, and guiding yourself with the compass of your own values. This path is available to every single one of us. It doesn't require a special personality or some inborn gift. It just requires a decision to stop looking for validation on the outside and to start the courageous work of building it on the inside. Your own journey can start with a single small step. So my invitation to you is this: take one small action today. Maybe it's taking 5 minutes to write down what you can and cannot control about something that's worrying you. Maybe it's identifying one core value that you want to live by this week. Or maybe it's just noticing a moment of difficulty and asking, what can this teach me? I would love to hear from you. In the comments below, share one small step you're going to take this week to start building your own inner strength. Sharing your intention is a powerful act of commitment, and reading about each other's journeys can inspire all of us. Remember, you are so much stronger than you think. The foundation for unshakable confidence is already inside you, just waiting to be built upon. Stop chasing the shadows of approval and start building the solid, enduring fortress of your own inner strength. Thank you for watching.